told. Anger's, I read one time in a book that I use, which is also part of this process that helped me to design the living, where it said that all our natural instincts are God-given. They're neither right nor wrong. It's what we do with them. And that's the same with all of that. Anger is neither right nor wrong. I don't have the luxury to hang on to it today. And what I need to do is look at it for what it's for. If I'm angry, that means something's happened that's violated something. Whether, I need to look at me and see that if this is a boundary that's been crossed, or if it's something that that I'm still feeling vulnerable on, that might still be attached to my past. Because even though I work on this, it's a work in progress. Like I can sit here and talk all these things and say this is what I do, and most of the time I do 80 to 90% of the time the things that I talk about I do. The other 10 to 20% vacillates between who I was when I first started this journey, which was that frayed, angry, violent, aggressive individual, to in varying degrees to where I am today, right? I mean, I'm still that, and the only blessing is that the process with that design to the living is that instead of reacting today, I can act today. I can choose to act on that. It doesn't mean I always do. I'm still driving down the road, somebody cuts me off, the first thing I want to do is go, you fucking retard. But then I start laughing.
That's what I do.
Then I start laughing, right? It's like, oh yeah, there you go again. You think you're so spiritually wise. That's at it again. Which is, and that's okay. That's okay. That's the whole thing, right? Is that I don't fail today. And this comes from another piece that I live. I practice principles, the principles I've chosen, and I don't know how to explain this piece either. It's kind of, that program that I talked about says we have a spiritual awakening as a result of the steps that we take, which is this process of coming to the place where we are, where we have. And spiritual to me is, I always used to confuse that. I used to confuse that a lot with religion and with all these God, and I had a bad taste on that because I grew up Roman Catholic and survived. Don't get me wrong, I went to Catholic school, but when my dad died, we couldn't afford to be a Catholic anymore. And then I would bounce from whatever religion whoever my mother was dating, Baptist, Protestant, whatever, then I would end up with whatever. And it was always and I never come to understand a loving, caring, forgiving power. I always knew one of fear, retribution, and anger, rage, right? So and I used to confuse spiritual with that. But again, dictionary. I had that. I joke around. I had about this old World Book Dictionary. The one's about 1.5 feet wide and about a foot deep and about 2 foot long. The one if you dropped it on your foot, you would have shattered your foot.
Yeah.
So in the second definition under spiritual, it said marked or characterized by a higher order of moral standards and or intelligence. Took it right out of the realm of that, and what it took it into was the realm of becoming a better human being, of that integral individual that I always wanted to be, that I said I was, but I found I always fell down on. It says I would have that spiritual awakening. I would start to see where I was becoming marked or characterized by a higher order of moral standards and or intelligence, right? And then I would practice those principles in all my affairs. And those principles are just rules of conduct. The very things that I learned how to do in that process of getting to that point of where I could acknowledge what a spiritual awakening was, is where those principles, those rules of conduct are what I could conduct my life through today, which is really great because it takes it out of the realm of guessing for me, you see, because I used to guess. Coming in here today, I would have been, even though I kind of know what was going to go on, I would still be trying to figure out, what you were feeling and what you were, and I would be trying to, it takes it out of the realm of that, I don't, of what people think about me. Don't get me wrong. I want people to love me and care for me. I do. I want, you know, the two greatest things in life that man battles with are his two greatest things is the need to be loved and to love, and the need for self-worth. And it seems like most of the time those are in conflict with each other.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Where if I'm living by a set of spiritual principles that I've chosen in my life that'll lead me to be where I'm at today, is as much as I want all that, I don't need it. Because I'm not broken anymore. I'm whole. So anything I bring into my life from here on out enhances my life. It doesn't give me any of that, because I already have all that, right? I have that, you see, and so I don't have to guess when I walk into a room today, because I'm not worried about what others think about me. It doesn't mean that I don't want others to think about me. It just means that, it used to be I'd walk into, go into work and, and you're working with 30 people, and, most of the people you get along with, a few of them, you're really, they make the job that much better, but, but they don't have to be there. But there's always that one or two that you always seem to be at odds with. Instead of focusing on all those others, I'd focus on those two.
Yep.
And then, and then that sensation I'd had, that feeling I had, that's what I'd make my fucking day. When in actual fact, when I first come in, I saw this person that I really care for, and and the rest of them, and I'm feeling, but I decided to choose. You see, I choose what defines my day. And today, by living those principles, I don't have to choose anything to define my day. I'm aware that I'm going to go through a whole range of emotions today, right? Like I said, I'm driving an idiot, cuts me off, I get angry. I'm sitting here, we're laughing and joking here a few minutes ago, laughing about our own lifestyles, right? And so, which one of them am I going to choose to make my day today, right? What am I going to choose to make my day, right? And that's the thing, right? And when you're feeding both of those, you don't have to choose between them, right? And you know that they're both working together, and you know that all your feelings are neither right nor wrong. They're God-given, or whatever you believe in. They're just there. They're neither right nor wrong. It's what I do with them. So I can choose cause situations with my anger, and I can focus on that and be angry all day or whatever, however it might want to be, right?
Yeah.
Or I can be aware that I'm angry, or that or maybe I'm jealous. I'm feeling jealous. If I'm feeling jealous, it's got fuck all to do with what I'm feeling jealous about. It's got to do with me.
Yes.
My insecurity of what I feel I'm lacking. You see, and that's when all these negative feelings I have, they tell me something about me, And it's looking at it, what it does is it tells me that there's something inside me that's not right. It's got fuck all to do with out here, because that's just the way it's going to be, right? And I've had people say, well, yeah, but what about people that abuse you? I can't control that.
No.
But I can control how long I stay in that.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Right? And I can step out of that at any time I want, right? Mm-hmm. I don't have to have you like me. I don't have to make myself little. I don't have to make myself small. I don't have to change who I am, right? And if you choose to, and if that, and most of those people are acting out of their wounds. They're not necessarily, I can understand where they're coming from, but I don't have to accept it either. I don't have to accept that behavior, right?
No.
Right? And I've had people say, well, I'm at, this is where I'm at, and it's, because of this addiction. I say, yeah, I hear you. That doesn't excuse what you do, right? That's that part today, right? That's the part where even with me is that if I react to a situation, the odds are that I'm gonna do it not in a good way, right? And then I'm gonna have to turn around and do something that I don't like doing, make amends.
Yeah,
right?
Apologize.
Right? And it's not just the apology. Like you'll never hear me say I'm sorry, because I'm not a sorry person. I'm not.
Yeah.
Right. And usually if I'm saying I'm sorry, it's coming out of guilt. It's not coming out of knowing the damage I've caused, or the harm I may have caused, right? It's not actually looking at the behavior, right? It's more worried about how you're looking at me again. You see, so you know, and that the true, you know, and I was bad for that, right? You know, when I wasn't willing to face consequences most of the time, I was willing to, that's when I was sorry and all of that. And the whole thing is that if I hadn't got caught, I probably wouldn't have been sorry. I hate to tell that may sound, but it's the truth, right?
Yeah.
Today it's got nothing to do with others. I don't feel guilty in my life. When I make a wrong, I feel remorse for it, right? And I feel it took me a long time to understand what they meant by the difference between amends and saying I'm sorry, right? I can walk up to anybody and go and apologize, right? But if I don't change the fucking behavior, that don't mean shit, right? And amends means I change the behavior. I acknowledge what I've done to you. I don't just come and say, hey, look, I'm sorry about what happened the other day. Hey, look, how can I repair what I did this and I saw how it affected you. How can I help to repair that? And can we? And if we can, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Right? I'm okay with that, right? Right? I can't get somebody else to be okay with what I've done. That's I can't. But I can try to clean my side of the street.
Yeah.
And out of that process of sweeping my side of the street is that I make room for the other person if they want to come back to that. But they don't have to, and I'm okay with that. You see, that's the thing. Like I don't try to fix it like I would like to fix it where they feel okay, but what I'm fixing is the part that I did.
Yeah.
And being aware of it and in that process changing my behaviors as I go along so that I'm not doing the same thing again.